Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how we attach our tabletops to our table bases using Rock Hardware's Z-clips or tabletop clips. So stick around. To start, we like to take our tabletop and put it on our workbench face down so that this surface is what we're going to mount our base to. And that allows us to bring our base over and lay it flat. We don't have to do as much clamping. It's just a lot easier to get everything lined up this way because you're looking down into it instead of having to lay on your back and look up. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Now that we've got the base on the bottom of the tabletop on our workbench here, now we need to make sure that we get the base centered relative to the tabletop. That way everything looks good when we get it all put together. So to do that, we're going to take our tape measure and we're going to measure from both sides and we're going to measure front to back to get that nice and centered. All right, so now we've got our table base centered on our tabletop and we've clamped it in place. That's just going to help keep it from moving around while we're doing our work as we attach these clips. So these tabletop clips look like this. And basically what they're going to do is they're going to sit in these slots that we've pre-cut into our table apron. They're going to sit in these slots and we're going to screw them to the tabletop. And what that's going to allow them to do is the tabletop now has the freedom to expand and contract with wood movement relative to this slot in the apron. And that's going to basically prevent us from having cracking, but it's also going to help keep the tabletop pinned to our base, which is what we're looking for. You can cut these slots a multitude of ways. I cut them with a biscuit joiner, but you can also cut a groove using a table saw or a router. You can use at the router table, you can run them through using the fence, or you can use a slot cutting bit, which is how I used to do these on a handheld router, and you can cut them right from the top. Now I'm going to zoom in here and show you guys one really important thing about how high you need to cut your slots here in just a sec. If you notice here, there's a little bit of a gap underneath here. And what that does is it allows the screw to pull a little bit of tension onto your apron. This is important because it'll prevent your tabletop from sliding around relative to your base. Now there's a couple points I want to cover about how many slots you need based on the size of your table and the weight of your table. There's no hard and fast rule for smaller tables like end tables, sofa tables. I usually keep it around 4 or 6 depending on how thick and heavy my tabletop is and how thick and heavy my base is. For something like this though, which is probably a 100-pound table, I usually put 8. I've seen people put 20 or 30 and I really think that's overkill. 4 of them would probably be fine for this with an 8-quarter maple top and a 12-quarter and 4-quarter maple or walnut base. 4 is probably plenty, but 8 is definitely plenty. It's not going anywhere. You can lift it by the tabletop alone and it's going to bring the base no problem. There's no creaking or anything like that. But when in doubt, you can add a few more. It's not going to hurt anything. So, one more good tip is you always want to put your wood movement in the direction that your tabletop is going to want to expand and contract. So with wood, it actually expands and contracts perpendicular to your grain. So if our grain is running this way, which it is in this case because it's a normal tabletop, it's actually going to want to expand and contract the most in its width. So we put our slots where it can expand and contract the most in its width. Basically what I'm trying to say is in a normal table configuration, you want to put your slots on your short rails. So I've got 2 here, I've got 2 on this inner side apron, I've got 2 on this inside apron, and I've got 2 on this other outside apron. So that's going to basically allow the maximum amount of wood movement. All right, so whenever I'm attaching tabletop clips, or anytime really I'm screwing into hardwood, I like to follow 3 steps. I lay out where I want to put my item, and I'm going to put the tabletop clips not quite all the way bottomed out. I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch of gap, and I'm going to center them in the slot. Then I'm going to take my awl, and I'm going to put a small dimple. That's okay, because we're going to pull that off anyways. Put a small dimple where I want to put my hole. Then I'm going to come in here with my drill. I'm going to drill a small pilot hole. And here I've got an offset drill bit. You don't need to use an offset drill bit, but I find it's just a little bit faster. You can use a longer drill bit instead of what I have here, so feel free to use that. Now that I've got the pilot hole drilled, I can come back in and attach my screws. And these conveniently just use Phillips head, which is perfect for these. That's another thing I like about the Rock Hardware brand. These clips come with hardware. And it's a nice, I think it's a black oxide finish, so it's not going to rust quickly, which is nice. The tabletop clips it's nice to hold them in place when you're inserting them because they do tend to wander around. So just one little finger on the corner, and that's all she wrote. And just like that, the tabletop is attached to the base nice and securely. If you peek underneath, you can see the clips, but it's not something that anybody in a normal operation is ever going to see, and they should hold up for a very, very long time. We love this attachment method. It's easy, it's fast, and it's really, really strong. You certainly can't beat it. Our favorite brand of table clips is made by Rock Hardware, so check those guys out. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. If you'd like to see more of this content, leave us a subscription or a comment. Thanks, guys.